Hi there, this is John Nelson from the Audubon Moment, and welcome to this live streaming event that we are doing for many of our Audubon chapters here in Florida. Today's day and age of social distancing, trying to keep ourselves safe, which is obviously very important for us to do, has also unfortunately made it a lot more difficult for many of us to go out to our state, our national, and even our county parks to be able to enjoy the activity that we like the best, and that's being able to see birds in nature. However, there's a way that we might be able to bring those birds directly to us. And we're going to talk today about how to build bird boxes and also some very simple and inexpensive backyard bird feeding stations as well. I know that many of us are unemployed right now and money is very tight, but what I'm going to be showing you are ways that we can go ahead and build a bird box and a feeding station for little to no money, with very likely the resources that you have right here at your home. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and start off by showing you a project that I did just yesterday. And it was building a bird box. I had a couple of pieces of scrap lumber that were sitting around the garage, and I was able to take that in a matter of about 1 hour and turn that into a nice bird box. In fact, it's this one right here that you can see. And I'm going to be putting that up on probably a pine tree that we have in our backyard here a little bit later on this afternoon. And then after we get done with that, then I'm going to show you how to make a bird feeder with literally the garbage that you have in your house. It's very, very simple. So without any further ado, let's talk about a bird box for some of your songbirds. A bird box, or as you may refer to it as a bird house, doesn't have to be complicated or pretty for that matter. I've heard some birding experts say that actually the rougher looking the bird box is, the greater chance that it will be used by some of your backyard birds. While bird boxes are only used seasonally, it's really exciting to see a pair of birds starting to use your box. As I started working on this bird box, I literally found some scrap lumber that I had originally set aside for a different project. If I had purchased this lumber from a home improvement store, it probably would have cost me less than $10. If you're really into following directions, which I'm not, you can go online and Google DIY bird boxes. You will find dozens of plans for do-it-yourself bird boxes, all of which can be built with a minimum of effort. Just remember, measure twice, cut once. I had a power saw, a drill, and a square to help construct this bird box. I could have done it without the power saw, but it was a bit hot outside and I didn't want to break into a sweat any more than I had to. After making my basic measurements, I cut out all the pieces and then made sure that they would fit together nicely. After I was satisfied with the fit, I took a power sander, which was optional for this project, and I sanded down the cuts to avoid getting any splinters in my fingers. I opted to make a small back door in this bird box so that I could clean out the box if necessary. However, I rarely do that, as the birds each year will place more nesting material on top of the old material from the previous year. With the basic box complete, I placed the roof on and then the front of the box. The most challenging aspect of the project was to drill an appropriate size hole into the front panel of the box. Depending on the species of bird that you are wanting to attract, the size of the hole should be large enough to allow for easy access, but not too large for a predator that would allow it to be able to come inside. For that same reason, a perch mount on the front of the box is really not recommended. Your birds will fly directly to the box hole and perch on the lower section of the hole before coming inside. This box was built for a pair of great-crested flycatchers that are in our neighborhood. We have had great-crested flycatchers nest in our yard for over 5 years now, and they seem to really like this size of box. Placement is also important, as you don't want the box to be too easily accessible to predators. Believe it or not, our great-crested flycatchers like the bird box that we have placed in the middle of our yard, right next to the hot tub. I can only imagine what kind of parties they're hosting each night. As I said before, let your imagination run wild with this project, or if you prefer, use some do-it-yourself plans that you can find on the internet. This is a great project for parents and kids to do together, and it can easily be done in a single morning or an afternoon. Just remember that after you place your bird box in your yard, give your birds some time to discover the box.
Also, remember that there are only certain times of the year that a bird box will be used for nesting, so don't be discouraged if you don't see any activity around your box for a while. Even better yet, call your local Audubon chapter or look online to see when certain bird species nest in your area. Whatever the situation is, though, make sure that you have fun. This is a great project for your whole family, so enjoy yourselves.
Okay, well, I hope that last section of video gave you a good idea how to build something like this. I did that without plans. I just, again, took some scrap lumber, a little bit of time, some drywall nails, something we had just laying around the house. If you do want to have plans, you can go on to Google and simply do a Google search for DIY bird boxes or bird houses, and you'll find a multitude of different plans that you can use. It's a great project for you and your kids, by the way, if you've got kids at the home, or if you just simply want to be a little, do a little handyman craft. This is a great idea as well. Again, once you get this done, then it's simply a matter of either mounting it on a post or putting it on a tree, and you're good to go. This particular bird box, I built this approximately this size because for the last 4 or 5 years, we've had gray-crested flycatchers using a bird box of this size. In fact, last year, we had not only gray-crested flycatchers, but we also had red-bellied woodpeckers that were fighting over this bird box. I've got some interesting video of those guys having at it. And the gray-crested flycatchers finally won out, and they fledged about 5 different chicks. It was really, really neat to see that. So again, if you got a family, this is a fantastic project. Now, the next thing that we wanted to talk about is bird feeders. And bird feeders are so simple to do. I told you could make it out of some of the garbage that you might have at your house. And this is a classic example of a bird feeder that you can build simply out of an empty 1-gallon milk jug, or in this case, it's an iced tea jug. All you have to do is simply take some scissors or a knife and simply cut out some openings, for the birds to be able to get to the food. What I am going to do a little bit later on is I'm going to drill a little hole on each one of these sides and put a perch, just a simple stick, a small twig. It doesn't have to be a fancy dowel or anything like that. Just look around your yard and you may have a small twig that you can put through there, and that becomes a perch. If you wanted to do a third and a fourth opening on these other 2 sides, you can do that too, and then you can have another a branch or twig going through there for 4 different bird perches. How do we mount this on a post or a tree? Well, if you put it on a post, which I probably don't recommend because that way it makes it easier, or it makes it more difficult rather to clean. But you can simply put some screws or some nails through the bottom. But an easier way is simply to take the lid off of this and take a drill or even just a knife and just simply ream a small hole or drill a small hole in the center of this lid. Just small enough, or rather just large enough, I guess I should say, in order to put some twine through there. And then once you put the twine through there, tie a couple of knots so that it will stay in place. Put this back on. And now with the twine, you can put that onto a branch, a low-hanging branch on a tree, and you've got yourself a hanging bird feeder. All you have to do is put some bird seed in there, and any old bird seed is fine, by the way. You don't have to go to extremes to be able to get, exotic types of bird seed. Teenagers, no offense when I say this, but birds are kind of like teenagers. They're very picky when it comes time for dinner. And they only eat what they like, and the rest of it they throw away. My painted buntings are a classic example of that. Everybody says that they like white millet, and that's true. Well, I use general birdseed for my painted buntings. And what happens is they take what they want, and they throw the rest of it on the ground. And then what happens is that we have, for example, doves. We have brown thrashers, other types of birds that come in, and they start ground feeding. Same is true with gray catbirds. They will go to the bird feeder, not to actually perch up onto the bird feeder, but to eat what has fallen down onto the ground. And of course, the arch rival and nemesis of any bird feeder and any bird watcher is that evil, evil squirrel. They will try to get onto these things if at all possible, but at the very least, they'll eat food that has fallen to the ground. So there you have it, a real simple bird feeder. This costs you nothing other than what you paid for whatever the content was inside this. This takes you all of maybe 5 or 10 minutes to build. And I know that many of us are unemployed right now. We're all on a budget. So if you are that way, I'm really sorry to hear that. But still, you have the resources available to be able to enjoy birds in your backyard. If you've got kids, these are great science projects to be able to start doing something like this, and then have your kids start observing the birds. If you've got a camera, even a smartphone is fine. You can start taking pictures of the birds that you're observing at your bird feeder, or maybe you're lucky enough to get some birds to come into your bird box right away. But especially at your bird feeder, you can take pictures of those birds and then have your kids go to some of the websites, such as Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and that will help you identify those birds and learn about the habits of those birds. That'd be a great science project for some of your kids that are stuck homeschooling right now, or for the full-time homeschoolers as well. It's a great project. Combined with the observations of the bird feeder, with the photographs, and then learning about the behavior of those birds, where they live, whether or not they migrate. Maybe they stay in our area all year long, like, for example, blue jays will stay in our area all year long, as opposed to painted buntings that do migrate. Our painted buntings go up to North and South Carolina and southern Georgia during the summer, and then they come back here during the winter. So find out about your birds. They're fascinating, and I think your kids will really enjoy that. You don't have to be fancy with this. Again, you don't have to paint these. In fact, with a bird box, it's recommended that you make them as rough as possible, because that makes them look much more natural, and any painting on a bird box could potentially scare away a bird. So there you have it. If you have any questions about what we're doing today, please feel free to email me. My email address is simply floridaswildoutdoors@gmail.com. That's Florida with an S, wild outdoors with an S, @gmail.com. And I'll be more than happy to answer all of your emails and give you some more pointers about these type of projects. And also, if you have any comments about this video and you'd like to share some of your birding ideas during this time of social distancing, again, please give me an email and I'll be more than happy to share that on our next episode of the Audubon Moment. Thanks again for watching, and hope you have a safe and wonderful time.